Namaskar. I'm Amit, Dr. Amit Biswas. Today our topic to share with each other is transforming fear. We're going through an unprecedented time of global crisis. This virus has impacted us globally, affected all parts of our lives, created havoc in a social, political, economic, and every system in our day-to-day life. But most importantly, in our mind and in our emotions, creating worries, anxieties, and fear within ourselves, in our families, in our systems, organizations, work, and in global economic, social, and other fields. Today we are going to think together how we can approach this fear, which is a normal reaction to this abnormal situation. But how can we approach this psychologically, using understandings from philosophies and ancient traditions, but also bringing in spiritual dimensions to increase our understanding, our resilience, our strengths, so are more united globally. We need to remember that when we have stopped physically distancing from each other, actually, this has given us a time to pause, to think, to rethink, to sink in within ourselves, and to understand what is important in our lives. How we can be very simply grateful the things that we have. Our doors to external world has suddenly closed and our lives changed, but our internal doors perhaps become more open. And it's a chance to recalibrate our lives, to rethink, rejuvenate, and create a newer world perhaps, to create a global consciousness shift, ecologically, socially, spiritually, and every possible way. Fear is in our thoughts. Thinking about fearful stimulus, that is the virus, that's created in our mind a lot of anxieties that goes either in the past, comparing with past experiences of some death, some illnesses, suffering, or throwing us in the future, what's going to happen? Am I going to die? Am I going to catch this virus? Am I actually going to survive within this global crisis, or my family will suffer? So many people are dying every day. What is going to happen to my country? What's going to happen to my job? I'm not going to get out, so am I going to be able to eat even? And this is quite valid. From the scientific perspective, if I put my medical hat, this virus is a new thing. We don't know much about this virus, but what we know scientifically and from medical evidence, the only way we cannot really beat this virus any other ways by physically distancing from each other, washing our hands. But that doesn't actually help in our fears and worries, which is a psychological phenomenon. So we have to do something different. Perhaps we can get some work from cognitive psychology, from very Socratic-based traditions, knowing what are our thoughts. Can we examine our thoughts? Can we change our thoughts? Can we write down what we are thinking? Because our thoughts are actually related to our emotions. And then we have some body sensations when we have fear, like we shake, our hearts palpitate. We actually have butterfly in the tummy, but it's all related. And then we act from these fear-based thoughts and emotions. We jump up and down, we become frantic, we go to shop, we kind of gather things, we gather information and make us frantic. That's what mind does. Our mind, our frontal lobe has evolved over thousands and millions of years to solve problems. But when you have emotional problems and issues like fear and worries and anxieties, we find it hard to solve it because it's not just practical. Yes, practical things about what you need to do, we are doing. What mind does is thinks, overthinks, and ruminates. Some part of our brain, like insula, just creates this loop. And our lower brain, amygdala, and other spaces really fires, and we act accordingly. What should I do? Perhaps just becoming more still, able to watch our thoughts and emotions. I am thinking, I am stuck in house. Just noticing this thought, but then changing our thoughts. Having a growth mindset rather than a negative mindset. Just to think, I'm stuck at work, but I can actually do other things through computer, net. I can connect with my family. I can rethink about things that I haven't done in the past years, like playing a flute or piano or read a book or spend time with my friends over the phone. The growth mindset is what can I do and how can I change my thoughts so that I can change my actions. And you can change your thoughts, and thoughts can change our actions. And that's very cognitive, psychological based work. Reframing our thoughts and becoming in a growth mindset so that we can overcome our thoughts. To be honest, sometimes we can even see the big picture. That we are in a very small planet, in this very average sized kind of, in a Milky Way. Amongst thousands and thousands of galaxies, we are very small. Death, suffering is an everyday issue. Actually, we are dying every day. Our our cells in our body dies, millions of cells. We call apoptosis. Death is possibly the inevitable journey in our lives, and one simple fact. However, if we remember that fact in front of our face, we live well in this present moment. Every day, we live better, flourishingly, because we know today is the first day of the best day of my life. Today I have got the opportunity to grow, to live flourishingly, better, being alive, being radically alive. So it's just transforming how we look into things. And also thinking these catastrophes, this struggle, this suffering is not new. For thousands of years in humanity have crossed through plagues after plagues, Black Death, which swiped the whole of the half of the population of Europe. The Black Death in Florence in 1346-48 at the time, when we see the people are dying on the streets, mothers leaving their children, brothers leaving their brothers. And Boccaccio writes about this in his Decameron. 10 friends goes out of the Florence in a small village. They distance themselves from the epicenter of plague, but at the same time, they come together as a small community. They shared their stories. They have become light-hearted, being together. They sing, dance, be joyous, and they survive through that human connectedness and the spirit. Perhaps this virus has given us a chance to be together in very different ways. We are using technology. We are using Zoom meetings, Skype calls, FaceTimes, and even if we are physically distanced, we can get connected globally as a community and overcome our fears. We can do things rather than positive psychology says, rather than focusing on what is not going well. We can focus on what is still good in our lives. We still can eat. We are fortunate. So many people on the streets do not even have food. So many people walking thousands of miles. We are at home. We are fortunate and being grateful for the life brings the gift every day to us. We can see things that we haven't been doing before. We can learn new things and we can offer our help to others who are in need. Perhaps to all the people we can go and get some food from a distance. We can help each other in this humanitarian crisis as humans and share our responsibilities. And by giving, we create a space where we can overcome our fears through connections, the deep human bond that we all share. From philosophical perspective, we can use teachings from ancient philosophies like Stoicism. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Musonius Rufus, what I have learned from them, or what we have learned from them. Simple things. Some things are up to us and other things are not. What is up to us? And what is not up to us? What we call zone 1 and zone 2. In zone 1, things that we have in our control. What is that we have in your control? Only our thoughts and attitude towards things. We do need to remember in zone 2 lies all the things, the weather, the virus, the people, what people are going to say, what things going to happen in our office, economy, doctors, everything else in zone 2. How I'm relating to zone 2 from zone 1 is what matters. That is up to us. We have learned from Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who went to Auschwitz prison in the 1930s, late 30s. He's been treated really badly in these dehumanizing, denigrating, hopeless situations. What created hope? That he knew what matters is not the circumstances itself, how you relate to a situation. The last of human freedom is one's attitudes towards given circumstances, and that makes us free. And this comes from the teachings of Stoic philosophers. In Alcoholics Anonymous, they talk about a prayer. God, give me the serenity to accept things that I cannot change. Zone 2. The courage to change the things I can. And the wisdom to know the difference. Accepting the things that I cannot change is not passive. It's a radical, active acceptance in zone 1. Because I'm relating to things differently, and that's wisdom. I am relating to this virus and the crisis and the scarcity and the fear in a different way, being in zone 1, being in calmness, and not creating my mind in stories and fear. The narratives have to stop. What we have to come together here, how can I transform this fear by befriending it? By relating to it differently. And here comes a spiritual perspective perhaps. How can I more mindfully hold this fear or worries, whatever we have, with greater awareness, kindness, compassion, and peace? It's not easy. Because the times of this crisis, we go in frantic mode. The waters are muddy water, and we try to solve, but makes it more muddy. What we need to do is become still. The mud settles down, and we can see clearly, making wise choices. So, to tap into our deeper wisdom and awareness, we have to be more still. And the spiritual practices such as meditation does help to be becoming more aware, more still, and rest in this awareness, holding our thoughts and emotions as it is, what it is, right here, right now.